It's me, Michaela, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing something that I have not done in a while, but I'm actually pretty excited about it. So I'm going to be doing a reading vlog dedicated to reading the entire series of something, and I haven't done this since I did my Six of Crows Crooked Kingdom reading vlog, and then of course the infamous movie length Red Queen series reading vlog I did way at the beginning of my channel, which is like not a very good video, but you know what, there's parts of it that are entertaining, I'll give you that, because I'm potentially losing my mind while reading that series. In this vlog, I'm going to be reading the Inheritance Games Trilogy. Now, I know that like the brothers Hawthorne is like a fourth book that's coming out, or it's just come out or something. I don't know. At some point this year, it's happening, I believe. But as far as I know, that is like a companion novel and it's not part of like the trilogy. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the complete story of the series. At least that's what I'm going with in this video. We're just gonna say it's a trilogy and pretend that that other book doesn't exist. So this is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and it is a young adult mystery series. The first book has been compared to Knives Out a lot, and I have read the first book, The Inheritance Games, before. So I will be rereading this, and then I will be reading the Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit, book 2 and book 3 in the series for the first time. That's what we're gonna get up to this week. This is kind of just a quick intro. I'm about to get ready and head off to work. I just wanted to kind of like say I was starting this before I actually started this book, because I'll be starting this again for my reread while I'm at work during my lunch break. The last time I read this, I read it, I think, almost like fully in one day. I think I did read it in 2 days, but I read like, I want to say like 75% of this book. Why is my hair in this book? Okay. I read like 75% of this book in one day. I had a really good time with it, but I also don't remember a lot of the details because I read it so quickly. So yeah, I'm gonna be starting this series again. This is like serving a few purposes for me. One, you know, if I read these, I get to tick this series off of my currently reading series list, or at least mark it up to date. I haven't decided if I'm gonna like read the Brothers Hawthorne book or not. Figure that out later. That's for like future Michaela to decide. And then also these two books here, book 2 and book 3, are actually on my 23 books in 2023 list. I forgot about that until recently. Check out the video somewhere linked for you if you want to see how I'm doing with that. Spoiler alert, not very well, but if I do this, I will be doing better at having read those 23 books in 2023. And then also, you know, it's books on my physical TBR that I'll be reading. And also, I haven't done one of these like dedicated to a series reading vlog in a while, like I said, and I kind of felt like doing one, and this felt like a good one to be doing. So yeah, let's get started with the reading, and I will get back to you once I have read some of the Inheritance Games. Okay, see ya. So I remember why I read this in 2 days the first time, and it's because, my gosh, this book reads so fast. Not only does it have like extremely small chapters, like a lot of chapters are like 3 to 5 pages long, so you just like keep reading, but Jennifer Lynn Barnes has paced this so well that it doesn't feel like you're necessarily like speeding through things, but it's like so fast, like you're just like through the book. It's just like, I'm having such a good time. Like, I started this afternoon and I'm now halfway through the book, in one day. That's like, I've read almost like 200 pages in one day, and like that is like not a thing I do. If I read 100 pages in a day, and especially on a work day, that's an outstanding day. So the fact that I've read 180 pages, fantastic, marvelous, outstanding. The Inheritance Games main character is Avery. She's just, you know, a girl living life when she gets summoned to the reading of a will of this crazy rich billionaire guy who died, and finds out that she actually inherited all of his money. He left it all to her instead of the family, which includes 4 grandsons who are all, what, like 16, 17 to like mid-20s or something, the 4 of them. And there's like riddles to be solved. This is a mystery. Why her? And the grandfather really liked mind games and puzzles and riddles, so it seems like these letters that he also left to them is like hints to discovering some kind of answer to the questions that they have. And it's good. It's so good. Like I said, it like just reads so quickly, and it has this nice way of like, you're not wondering things too long. There's not really any like cliffhangers too much. It's just enough to like grab your attention and keep you reading, which I like. There's no like, oh, pause at this discovery and move to a different scene completely and we'll get back to that later because I know you want to know. Like, we don't get that, and I like that. I appreciate that because I don't want to be kept hanging on the string, right? I want to know. I just want to know. So tell me. And Jennifer did. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. There's also like a love triangle in this between Avery and 2 of the brothers. I personally am more team Grayson than Jameson. I'm just being honest. And which seems weird because really like Jameson feels like, especially in the first half, like he's like the nicer of the 2. But what can I say? I just love a man in a suit. But I'm having a great time. I feel like I'll probably like finish this tomorrow, honestly, because I'm gonna read more tonight for sure, and then whatever's left I'll probably get to tomorrow, because like I said, I can't seem to put this book down, which is such a good feeling. I really feel like I've been having way too much screen time just in general between like my phone and my laptop and things, so I'm really glad to be just like absolutely devouring a book and like not thinking about being on my phone. It's a nice feeling. It's a good feeling. And I'm also glad that like a reread is being this intriguing for me, because sometimes like it's not like I'm a rereading person. I like to reread books, but sometimes like rereading a book, as much as I'm having a really good time with it, sometimes you're not having as great of a time because you do kind of know what happens, right? Like, because you've read it before, so it doesn't have the like mystery aspect as much. I did read this, I think, last October, so it has been a while, so I have forgot some of the details, which is definitely helping in the reread and wanting to not put the book down and just keep going. I'm hoping that like the rest of the series kind of keeps the same pacing and the same level of intrigue, because I have heard from some people that the first book, The Inheritance Games, is the best in the series, and that the other 2 just aren't quite at the same level as this one. But we're gonna find out because I'm gonna read them. How long it's gonna take me to read them, I don't know. Will I accidentally end up reading like 3 books this week? Stay tuned. We'll find out. I don't think I will actually end up reading 3 books this week. But if I did, that would be hilarious because I haven't done that in possibly ever. Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like the update for now. I'm liking the book. I don't remember what I gave it the first time I read it, but I think I gave it like a 4 or 4.5. So it's definitely like, I would say it's like holding up to that. I think I would keep it at a 4.5 for the first half of this book, depending on what the last half does. I guess that would depend. I should probably actually look and like see what the rating was I gave to this book. But yeah, so I think I gave it a 4 or 4.5 last time, and I feel like it's the same on Pun Reread. Like, I'm feeling the same way, and that's good. We're liking it. We're having a great time. We're reading. It's wonderful, fantastic, amazing. I will probably catch ya later when I'm done the book. Why did I slap it? Okay. Yeah, so I'll tell you when I finish the book how I'm feeling about the first book after the finishing of the completion of the reread. I'll let you know when I'm done rereading the book. Okay, see you then. Hello. It is the next day. I finished reading the Inheritance Games, or like rereading it, when I got home from work today while I was drinking a smoothie. It was very wonderful, very fantastic. I ended up keeping the 4.5-star rating that I gave the first time. It's kind of like, it was one of those things where like, okay, reading this was like a constant reminder. Like, I didn't really remember much until I was reading it, and then I was reading it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember all of this. But like, before I read it, I would not have remembered all of that. It was like just at the edge of the memory, you know? So I feel like this was the perfect time to be rereading it. And obviously it read super quick. It was a great time. I like kind of forgot how much of a cliffhanger it like just completely ends off on, and I was like, damn, okay, good thing I have the second book and I'm about to start reading it because I need to know. What kind of willpower did I have the first time I read this book to not read the second book immediately after it? Impressive by my own part, okay? Like, good job me. I didn't even know I had that in me. But yeah, I really like the story. I like the complexity of like the riddles and stuff. It's fun, it's quick. There's some like higher stakes involved at points that are really fun. I'm trying to stay like pretty spoiler free, but I'll probably talk a little spoilers just because this is like a full series reading vlog, and if I kept that completely spoiler free, it would be really boring because how am I supposed to talk about the next two books without talking about what happened in this one, you know? I have to say, like, I like the love triangle. It's not obvious, like, who's gonna win in this love triangle, like, who's she gonna end up with. But it also, like, kind of weirds me out a little bit. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Emily plotline because it just seems really weird to me that two brothers, like, as, like, teenagers, and, like, they, like, fall for the same girl twice. Like, they both were, like, in love with Emily, and now they're both falling for Avery, and it's kind of just, like, really? I feel like the love triangle could have worked just as well without that part of it, but, like, I understand, like, making the characters complex or whatever. It's just, like, kind of, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, I kind of wish it wasn't there. I didn't, like, hate it, but it kind of just, like, made me, like, made me feel like a little uncomfy about like the current situation too, because like all of the Emily plot like happened like only a year before the story, so it kind of feels like too soon to be now like rooting for someone else when like the Emily plotline is like kind of tragic, you know? Does that make any sense? Overall, you know, a great read. If you're looking for something that's like super bingeable, super quick, and like a fun time, like this is the book for you. It is very Knives Out. I finally did watch Knives Out, so I can actually guarantee that that is what this is because I've now consumed both forms of media. I almost like never watch movies. Like, I'm really not a movie person. I don't watch movies. It's very strange that I don't, but it's just not a thing I do very often. I don't know. I just never think to watch a movie. I'll always pick a TV show. Anyway, I'm about to start reading the Hawthorne Legacy. This is gonna pick up, I'm assuming, right where we left off in this lovely book here, with solving more riddles and more puzzles from the cliffhanger of the first book. So I'm intrigued. I forgot that like the epilogue for the Inheritance Games actually finishes in somebody else's point of view and not Avery's. So I'm curious to know if this book is going to feature a different point of view, but I assume it has to still be in Avery's point of view because otherwise how is like any of the rest of the plot going to continue forward? And I feel like it must just be in Avery's point of view, but then it just seemed weird that the epilogue would suddenly be in just like another person's point of view and only the epilogue. It felt a little out of place in terms of that, like to be in only Avery's head for so long and then to switch for the epilogue for like 2 pages into Xander's point of view. Like, and then are we just gonna pretend that didn't happen and just like move on to this book and only be in Avery's point of view again? I don't know. I also like had a quick look, and for some reason this book is less pages than this book. But this book physically like is bigger. So what in the pages going on there? What's happening? That doesn't physics or something. I don't know. Anyway, that is what it is. I'm gonna read this book. I'm gonna start it now. I think I actually might read it out on my balcony because the sun has gone behind a cloud, so it probably won't be scorching hot while I try to read it. I'm also going to eat some dinner. Probably not at the same time because I don't want to risk getting my dinner on my book. That's the plan of action. I'm gonna start the second book in the series. So far, we're at like a really great pace considering it has not even been 2 full days and I've already finished the first book of this trilogy. Fantastic. Let's see if I keep it up and let's see if we find what we're looking for in this book. Hello. So I just finished reading the Hawthorne Legacy, and yes, I did only start this book yesterday and I finished it today. There's just something about Jennifer Lynn Barnes, okay? She's able to write a book that I don't want to put down. It's the really short chapters. When books have really short chapters, I just eat them up. I can't help it because it's like, why not read the next chapter? It's only 3 pages, you know? And then I just don't put it down. And like the twist at the end of this, the drama, it was a lot. It was a lot. But it is like after midnight here and I really need to go to bed and my mind is like not fully on. It's not fully awake up here. So I'm gonna talk to you about this tomorrow morning before I go to work, and then I'm gonna start the final Gambit tomorrow, but I will talk to you about it then. So like, wait like 1 second and I'll be back tomorrow morning to talk about the book. Okay. We're going. We're there. Hello. It is the next day. It is Friday morning. It's Friday, the weekend is tomorrow. I'm getting paid today. I'm so ready for it. I have my favorite. It is the end of the week and I really need to wash my hairstyle in. And last night, as you know, I finished reading the Hawthorne Legacy. I wasn't going to finish this last night because it was getting quite late because my mother FaceTimed me in the middle of the night to ask me, not the middle of the night, but like she FaceTimed me kind of late asking me questions about something, which is fine. But then I still wanted to finish this book because I only had like 50-60 pages left of it, and I didn't want to have to bring 2 books to work today because it's been really slow at work. So if I only had 50 pages left, then I would run out of book to read while I was at work. So I wanted to bring the next book, but I didn't want to bring 2 books to work because that seems weird. Like that seems a little excessive. I did finish this last night. And honestly, considering the lack of hours of sleep I had, I actually feel pretty good. I don't know why. We're not gonna question it though. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. I thought it was quite good, especially the ending. The drama at the end of this book kind of came out a little out of nowhere. It felt like the stakes like ran way up really quickly, but I didn't hate it because it wasn't like unheard of stakes that we didn't already see in the first book, kind of. It made sense. I just felt like it kind of was not like led up to quite as well as like the first book was. In general, like the pacing was still good. I feel like the first book again was better. The beginning of this book started to feel a little not, it wasn't slow because it was still fast paced and I still read it really quickly, but the mystery didn't feel quite as intriguing in terms of the like puzzles and riddles and things they were solving to try and get to the next steps of it. That didn't intrigue me quite as much as the first book, but like the overall mystery itself did, and there were some twists and turns in here that I found quite interesting. You know, 4 stars. Gave the first book 4.5. This wasn't quite at the same level for me, but I still had a really good time reading it, as obviously I read it in like one day. It was, like I said, it was good. I liked it, and the only thing is like the love triangle in it wasn't really love triangling the way I was wanting it to love triangle. It wasn't like unexpected because based off of the way the first book ended, this is kind of what was expected of the love triangle to be love triangling. But that doesn't mean I didn't want it to love triangle a different way than it was love triangling, you know? Like, I can't be upset because I knew this was probably coming, but also it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted more of the triangliness, and it didn't feel quite as triangle. Yeah. I want more Libby and Nash scenes, okay? I want to know more of that because they just keep sending them on adventures together, and I want to be on them. I want the Libby Nash story, and I'm not getting it. She's just giving us crumbs, and I want more. I want a full bite of the story, okay? I will say with the way that this ended, like at the very end, where you're kind of setting up the next book, what the next big mystery seems to be, I don't necessarily know how it's going to relate to Avery. Obviously, in the first book, the whole story and the whole mystery is Avery. Like, why is she there? Why did this happen? Why her? Right? And then the way that ends is that like Avery discovers something that then continues the mystery. And the epilogue is in Xander's POV because he gets like a clue that leads to like the same mystery that Avery has kind of like discovered herself by accident. So it makes sense, again, that this is very like an Avery-centered mystery in the plot. But the way this one ends and the cliffhanger of like the next mystery riddle to be solved, is it about Avery? So I don't know how the final Gambit is going to like work necessarily. Like, I feel like it's still gonna be good. I don't want to like read the synopsis on the back because I like going into books blind, but I feel like there must be something else that has to come up in this book other than just a romance plot for Avery, because otherwise she's gonna feel like the side character in her own book, I feel. So like I'm a little nervous about this one, but we will see. 3rd book in the trilogy, right? The final Gambit, that's it, the end. Hello. Gonna start it at work today. Actually probably really should get going because I need to actually go to work, and I have to walk to work in the rain today. Fun. By fun I mean not fun, I hate it. And yeah, like I'll start this today and I'll update you because I'm not gonna read this book in a day. I have the feeling I'm not gonna read this all today. So I'll have an update at the midway point for you. The next day, it is Saturday morning, and yesterday I ended up reading just over half of the final Gambit. I don't know what it is about Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but she has just made me into a little reading fiend. I have been reading so much. I've read these books so quickly, and it is extremely unexpected of me. Part of it is because work is like really slow right now, so there like isn't any work for me to do, so I've just been able to read while at work, which is very nice, but gets very boring. after a while, so it should not be that slow starting next week, and I'm starting to look forward to it. But yeah, I read about 200 pages of the final Gambit, and I have to say, like, the mystery, it's not that I don't like the mystery, it is interesting, it is like quite high stakes. It does feel a little repetitive at this point, perhaps. I don't know, it just like wasn't set up very well from the last book. Like, there was a time jump between the end of the second book and the beginning of that one, and I feel like the time jump is making part of the mystery. Part of the mystery is that we don't know what happened during the time jump exactly, and like that's slowly being revealed, and that's kind of like the character development that we're getting for Grayson and Avery and Jameson. Basically all of the characters, it's like stuff has happened and now we're here, but we're gonna tell you through like little tiny flashbacks like what happened and why they feel this way now. And it's just like, it's not something I necessarily love. It does feel like a little unplanned. Like I don't know, yeah, I just like am not a huge fan of that being a part of it, because it felt like at the end of the second book, like I said, that there was like this mystery that didn't involve Avery, and then like that isn't even really part of this at all. It's like mentioned in passing like twice so far, and so there's just like a brand new mystery that started, and I'm not a huge fan of it because it doesn't feel as exciting as the last ones. It kind of just feels a little like confusing. The riddles aren't the same, and like the games and stuff, it's like a different kind of like format, and it's still interesting because like the core of the mystery is interesting, but the like process of getting through it doesn't feel quite as enthralling, because I think part of the first book is that Avery's thrown into this world where she doesn't know anybody, and that is part of the mystery. And like now that she knows people involved, like that portion of it isn't exciting. I don't know if that makes sense. It's still like a good book. I'd say like right now I'm like a 3.5. I would say, yeah, I think like a 3.5 stars. I think the first book is the strongest book in the series. Obviously, I still have half of this one to read. There are more Libby and Nash though, so like just like a little bit. So I am liking that. And Avery's friend Max is like a character more actively in this book, which I like. That's fun. The only thing is that like at this point it feels like the love triangle should be over, but it's like a ghost that it's still there, and it's like kind of, again, I don't know how I feel about it. As in like I like everything, but I don't necessarily love anything that's happening in this book, which is why I'm thinking like a 3.5. If the ending is good, then I might give it a 4. Like I feel like, you know, like obviously I have like the most exciting part coming up, right? This is like when all the reveals and things are gonna like slot into place, and like all the intense stuff is gonna happen. So like maybe this will also be a 4-star. It's definitely like a solid series, and it's definitely like just a fun, easy, quick read. So I think it's like a really good thing to try if you're like in a reading slump, because like all of these books read so quick. I think like the longest chapter I found has been like 9 pages. This is why I couldn't put it down. But yet yesterday I just got to a point like halfway through where I got to a chapter that was a little longer, and I kind of just was like, oh, I'll just stop. And it was like seemed like something kind of big was gonna happen, and I just like didn't want to go into it yet. So that was like weird because that hadn't happened in the other 2 books. Now it's possible that I'm kind of just like burning out on the series, and it's good that I'm almost done it at this point because I have been reading it so quick, and I've been reading it back to back, and I haven't really done that in a while. Cough cough, Red Queen series, where I definitely burnt out on reading that series back to back. This is not normally something I do, but I thought it could be fun because I thought it would kind of be this like quick bingeable kind of reading because I had read the first book before. But yeah, like overall it's good, it's fine, it's not great, but I still have half the book left, and maybe I'll change my mind. So the plan for the day is I'm thinking I'll probably finish this today, just based off of my previous reading days. I feel like, you know, it's a weekend, there's no reason for me to not finish this today. But I also do kind of need to get my life together because like my kitchen is a mess. I have this like giant box that like my chair for my balcony came in like weeks ago that I still haven't broken down and brought down to recycling, and at this point it's just like part of the furniture, and I like, so I don't even acknowledge that it's there and I need to deal with it, so I really need to deal with that. And then I also kind of want to go do some cardio today because I'm trying to be like a fit girl again. But I also want to balance that with just kind of doing nothing, because that's kind of what my Saturdays are. I did manage to like sleep in a little. I'm not someone who sleeps in, so when I say I slept in, I mean like I slept in until like 7:30 in the morning. Okay, I'm just someone who like once I wake up early naturally because that's my sleep schedule throughout the week. So on the weekends I still usually wake up early. So if I manage to sleep in like anytime past 7, like that's an accomplishment for me. It does not mean that I'm a crazy morning person. It just means that I'm awake. Okay, I tend to lie in bed a lot. I also have naps a lot on the weekend. I will probably have a nap later today because that's what I like to do. But I'm gonna go drink my herbal tea out on the balcony. That's why I have a sweater and things on in August, is because it's kind of chilly because I don't get the direct light on my balcony in the morning. And then I think I'm gonna make a smoothie today. That could be fun. I'm gonna read a bunch of a book, and then maybe I'll do some cleaning to feel more put together in my life. There we go. I'll catch you up at a further in the future point of time. Yes. Hello. We are here at the final check-in for this video because yesterday I finished reading the final Gambit, the third and final book in the Inheritance Games Trilogy. So I ended up giving this 4 stars because, like I kind of thought it would, the second half was more exciting than the first half of the book. I do think that, kind of similar to the second book, the Hawthorne Legacy, the pacing and the mystery just wasn't quite as good as in the Inheritance Games, and so it wasn't amazing. It wasn't going to, I don't think it would have been anything above a 4-star. And you know, like, part of me wants to give the Inheritance Games a 5, honestly. Like, I feel like the things that I don't like about it are so tiny that perhaps I should bump this up to a 5 and then have the Hawthorne Legacy and the Final Gambit as 4 stars, potentially. But yeah, so the second half of the Final Gambit was much more exciting, and things got revealed like pretty quickly. There was a lot of like tension going on that was nice, because you kind of had like characters like second guessing each other, and you got to the end of kind of like this last riddle. In this book, there's kind of like 2 mysteries going on at once that are like intertwined, and one is more related to the previous 2 books and their mysteries, and the other is kind of this additional thing that's happening like presently in the plot that by the end of the book you kind of understand where it was coming from. And part of me liked having 2 that kind of like were connected but not connected, and part of me kind of felt like both of them were not as strong because there was 2, if that makes sense. But overall, it was a good book. I feel like the ending of it, once you got so far to the end, it kind of became predictable about what was going to happen, but I'm not mad about that. Like, I never predicted it too far ahead, and it's kind of just the thing that you assumed happened at the end of the book. And it does. Congrats. I will say the biggest disappointment for me in both the second and the third book, actually, is that the first book set up a love triangle so well. Like, it was really wonderfully executed because it didn't feel like there was a clear like choice. But then the second and the third book did suddenly make it a clear choice and then never explored the other side of the triangle, and that kind of upset me because that's what I was so intrigued about with the romance part in the first book. And like I said in this, when I was talking about the second book, that it really feels like the triangle is like this like ghost. It's very clearly like she's chosen one of them, and then it's kind of like suggested that the triangle tension and conflict is still there when it kind of isn't. It doesn't feel very like tangible in believing it, and because I think we never explored the other side of the triangle. Like, if we had a little bit of both sides of the triangle in the second book, then I think having this kind of plot for the romance would make sense in the third book. But because we never explored the other side in the second book, it still just feels left unexplained a little bit. I hope that makes sense. But I finished the book and it was a really good time. Like I said, like I read another 200 pages yesterday. I have read all 3 of these books in like 5.5 days or something. Such a good bingeable series and a really fun bingeable series. And like I got to the end of the third book and it was like just enough that I didn't want to be reading anymore. I didn't want to be in this world anymore. I was just about to get burned out on it, but it was just really nice. And I've read like a whole series this week, which is crazy. Like I really feel like I'm living my like childhood self again when I would just like read. When I read as a kid and I just like never wanted to put a book down and I would just like speed through books and read. And it was just like a really nice feeling to like have that again, because now often, you know, like you're reading and even if you're having a really good time, you're thinking about like all the other responsibilities and things you have to do. And this kind of just let me forget about that and have just a really fun time for a few days reading a bunch of books all at once, and it was a great time. I would definitely recommend the series. I think it's a really strong series and I think most people would enjoy it if you're going into it expecting something like just like fun and quick and very YA. I had a great time. Probably like one of the better series that I've read. I mean, I did just read the Poppy War series and that series was absolutely amazing. I'm not going to say this is like the same as the Poppy War series because they're in completely different categories, but still a great read, all 3 of them. And I think I will read the Brothers Hawthorne, the companion novel, when it comes out. I think it's coming out at the end of this month, just because I want to see what that book will be about. I believe it's from like it's like a multi-POV from the 4 brothers. So that could be interesting. And I think like eventually at some point I would like to dive into the Inheritance Games world again. But I probably won't read that for a while because if the book is only coming out at the end of the month, then the paperback of that book is not going to be available for ages. But that's okay because I have plenty of other books to read. But, you know, there we go. This has been my reading vlog for this whole series. I hope you had a fun time. I hope this, you know, was useful to you, and if not, I hope it at least was like a little entertaining. I am going to be reading more books soon, but I think I actually might just like take a day off of reading. Mostly because all of those chores I said I was going to do yesterday, I did not do, so now I need to do them. So I think I need to actually be responsible and do my dishes. Ew. If you happen to like this video, make sure to give it a like. If you happen to like me, consider subscribing. I'd be happy to have you. Comment down below if you read the Inheritance Games. Let me know your thoughts on it. And also let me know if there's any other series that you think I should read. With that, I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!